This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
I'm Will.
I'm Eric.
And this is what, Will?
It's Wild Cow Wednesday. We're
Game
not talking about
review.
names today.
No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be doing our top 3 Fire Emblem games, despite what the thumbnail says.
Thumbnail is misleading.
Don't trust that thumbnail. It's not 5 points.
Yeah, and definitely not hashtag FE because we're not talking about Tokyo
Five
Mirage Sessions.
points!
Oh my god.
Sorry, I had to do the gore. If you don't know what this thumbnail is, you gotta check it out. That's all I'm gonna say.
This Wednesday episode is like a bunch of memes thrown together, and then we're actually gonna get serious about Fire Emblem. All right, so Will, why don't you give us your number 3?
Number 3. Oh man, I'm gonna start with number 1. All right, so you guys are gonna jump down my throat. This is why I wanted to shorten the list. All right, you ready? You ready to get mad at me?
Number 3.
Number 3. Awakening.
What?
That's good.
No.
I respect that. I respect
Yeah.
that. Awakening's a great game. Yeah.
I think it's a good entry point to the series for someone who hasn't played, and I like the fact it's a casual mode. And I'm going to defend this because I think more games should have casual modes.
What are you, an IGN reporter? No, I'm just kidding.
Secretly, yes, I do this on the side. I gave it a 9.6.
He's like that guy in Cuphead that couldn't actually get through the first tutorial level.
Don't make fun of me. I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I had my controller configured wrong. You have to ask my friend JJ.
Gosh, what? Are you
I was like, yeah, because we were joking about it, and then we started playing Cuphead, and I'm like, I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening. So I was just like, my little dude is like, bouncing up and down, and then they're like, something's wrong. And we're like, oh, I assigned my jump to the wrong button. So
that is
yeah,
actually
IGN,
pretty
don't
funny.
bag IGN. Yeah, I agree with Will. Like, I think
the IGN Cuphead player, he deserved everything he got. He didn't do it literally says the double jump in the tutorial, and he was doing a single jump and wouldn't continue. Anyways, he just wasn't following the tutorial. That was like, how do you not follow the tutorial?
I got through that part, and I got through a couple of bosses. But
I was gonna say you got through that. 'Cause I know you beat a boss, and you told me. All right, go ahead.
Back to Fire Emblem Awakening. I respect Will's choice. I agree with everything Will said. Yeah.
Okay. Will likes Awakening at number 3. What do you got at number 3, Eric?
Path of Radiance is my number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah, number 3 is Path of Radiance.
Oof.
Path of Radiance, it's an incredible story. It's a great visual novel. I think that's, if you want the sort of like classic Fire Emblem experience, I think that's a great entry point into the series. It's just hours of fun. It's a deep, it's just, you can do so much with it, and you can learn that game so well, and you can really play around with like some of the lower tier characters on like other runs. And the story is memorable. Like, that's what I gotta say. I love the story of Path of Radiance. It's really, really well written. And you just step into the world of Tellius, and it feels like real. Even though there's like, furries and like lagoons running around, it just feels, it's super memorable. And it's got great characters. Like, that's mine, number 3, Path of Radiance.
And I just wanted to reiterate, we're only doing the NTSC games. So if you were looking for the Japanese games, go watch Mangs. Anyways, my number 3 is Fire Emblem Blazing Sword.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
I love this game to death, and I can go back to this game and play it. It's one of those games that like is evergreen for me. I can there's a lot of new games that are really fun that I enjoy a lot, but I get done with them and I never played them again. And asterisk on these top 3 only because I haven't played Three Houses enough to put it in my top 3 yet. So it won't be in my top 3. Spoilers. I really like it. It's definitely my top 5, but without having completed enough of the stories, I can't honestly put it in my top 3 yet, or else I'd be a liar. So I'm not going to do that. But Fire Emblem 7, Fire Emblem Blazing Sword, I have gone back and played that game like every 5 years. I'll go back and replay it like 3 times. It's a game that is fresh every time I play it, and for that I can't rank it less than 3. It's a really good game with a lot of replay value, and it's worth it playing it now. Even if you played Three Houses, go back and play the first game to make it to North America. It's the reason why Three Houses is here now today, aside from Smash Bros. And it's just a legacy game. It's really good. It's one of the best. And even if it was as rushed as the story said in the background, it's just I can't not put it at number 3. It's really amazing. It's got one of the best stories, and Hector hard mode is great. And the guidance chapters actually exist, unlike in other.
Great. Some parts. All right, we could do a whole like series on Hector hard mode.
All right, Eric or Will, who wants to go next for number 2?
I think Will. Yeah, Will.
I guess that would be nice. Yeah. All right, so this is going to be cheating, and I will be 100% honest with our viewers. I have not played this game. However, I watched a ton of Let's Plays for this in preparation for this video, and this is going to become so embarrassed. But
before you finish this,
did you see that?
Did you see that? Before you.
No, Chris, I'm talking.
Yeah,
no,
I was listening to Will. I was listening to Will be correct.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the thing is, like, obviously I haven't played it, but man, it looks amazing. It looks like people, like, everyone you talk to loves this game. I think every review has been glowing. The gameplay looks really crisp, and the character models look really crisp. And I've been told and I've seen that the story is actually compelling and actually worth going through and actually worth going the different paths. So, yeah, I would definitely put that in my number 2.
Yeah, I hope you do play it. It is worth playing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if we're going my number 2, so my number 2 I'm stealing from Chris, which is my number 2 is Blazing Sword. I moved that. That's in my number 2 spot for a lot of the same reasons Chris said. Like, the story is great. I've gone back to that game and replayed it, and it still feels like something that could have just come out. It's really refreshing and really evergreen was the word Chris put it. But I'll never forget, like, experiencing that, like, fantasy epic for the first time, or like the joy at beating like Hector hard mode for the first time. And just it's a great game. It's got a good story, it's got a good challenge, and it will stick with you. Like, I still remember all the story beats of that game. Like, it's wonderful. The characters are great, and it's bittersweet. Like, it's a bittersweet story. It's wonderful. I highly recommend Blazing Sword. Like, if you're a fan of Fire Emblem at all, you've got to check it out.
So I found what I was looking at earlier. Look at this.
Okay.
So he's talking about how his introduction to Fire Emblem was Fire Emblem Fates, and they have him go back and play Blazing Sword, right? So he's looking at the Choose Your Path part of Fates, and it says, defend Hoshido, fight with Nor, refuse to choose a side, join the battle, and smash.
Yeah, this is from the trailer for not Robin, Corrin being added to Smash.
Right, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't remember this trailer.
No, this is a huge trailer where like Corrin's gonna be in Smash. This is it, because Corrin's like, I choose to smash. Yeah.
He's like, smash or pass, Smash Bros.
Yeah, smash. That's what you should always choose.
Anyways, my number 2. You guys are all gonna be shocked. My number 2, Fire Emblem Path Radiance. Okay.
Ooh, okay, I'm excited. Yeah.
Unforgettable game. All right, it is one of my all-time favorite games. All 3 of these top 3 are part of my all-time favorite games. And Path of Radiance is one of those games that I will never forget putting in my GameCube for the first time, grabbing my controller, booting it up, and seeing 3D visuals in a Fire Emblem game. I couldn't believe it. I was like blown away. It had animated CGI cutscenes. That had never happened in a Fire Emblem game. That had never happened in any game that I played that was like an RPG. Like, it was like, okay, now we mean business. And it starts off with him doing like this training session with, you know, his dad, and then this axe fighter named isn't it Boyd?
Boyd.
Yeah.
Boyd, yeah. Boyd.
I have a hard time remembering names, so just forgive me on that one. But I got it right. And then Mist. He's defending his little sister. Who doesn't love a guy that can defend his little sister? All right, come on. Anyways, the whole storyline is so sad and so compelling for Ike to take on the Grail mercenaries and live up to his father's name and fight eventually his father's nemesis to finish the game off, on top of, you know, taking down an entire kingdom. But fighting alongside the Lagoos, which is, you know, a noble, very, very noble cause. And the music, probably some of the best music in the whole series is in Path of Radiance. And it gets better over time, but Path of Radiance was the break away from the 8-bit, 16-bit music into fully fledged symphony orchestra music. And
yeah,
it was a huge transition, which I don't know. I don't know how you can make that type of a leap in sound quality. Again, you can't. You're already there. It's like going from 2D to 3D. Cat's out of the box, all right? Nothing will have as much of an impact as Path of Radiance did on the Fire Emblem series because of that reason. In music, in the 2D to 3D world, and the fact that they went back to the weird pseudo 3D and Shadow Dragon, but anyways.
Just forget that
Path
one.
of Radiance is number 2 for me. So,
Right.
Amazing game. Okay. What's your number 1, Will?
Can you guess, Chris?
Is it Path of Radiance?
It is not Path of Radiance. No.
Is it
I was
Radiant
gonna
Dawn?
say 3CS776. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, so my number 1 is, Fire Emblem 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one that introduced me to the series. It's the, the first one that got me out to the mechanics and everything. And I still remember when I lost my first character because I thought that, I was, I'm not going to swear. I thought I was all that. And I was, blowing through the first couple chapters with no problem. And I was like, this game's kind of easy. And then all of a sudden I just lost one of my characters because I forgot to knock down one of the walls. And like this guy knocked it down himself. Came out and shot my character. I was like, no, didn't even know you could do that. And it's like, obviously, like the little pixels, you can see that the walls will break, but I completely missed it. Anyway, so that was great. And then, just the intro of that game, I think starts it off as it's great with Lindis is, saying some weird things, and you get like kind of an emotional sexual attraction to this person.
I mean, kind of the game really throws that in your face.
Yes, it totally does.
That she likes you. Yeah.
Yeah. You are such a great warrior. Can I come with you? And she says a lot of weird things though, like I found you in the grass naked or something.
No, that was Fire
Not
Emblem
that
Fates.
But
no, I'm just kidding.
I sent Chris pictures of like the intro, like the first couple screens. Like, what did you get me, Chris? But no, I love this game. Yeah, definitely my number 1.
Then you find out she's actually into Hector. No.
Yeah, that is like, I think that's the canonical pairing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
or if there even is
really,
one. Yeah,
never really.
it's never revealed who Lilina's mom is, but I think it's Hector and Lynn.
It's gotta
because
be.
I ship Elwood and Ninian, not Elwood Lynn. That's a trash pairing.
And plus Roy doesn't make sense if you ship him with Lynn. But anyways,
right.
Eric, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is probably no surprise, but it's Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like, it's one of the best games I've ever played, and it was the first game that I've played in years that like hooked me immediately. And I was riding the hype train. Like, I ordered the special edition because I thought the trailers looked so good, and then I played the game and it like surpassed all of my expectations. I thought the school system was so well implemented. The story is really like, it's emotional, Esther. I cried at some points during this game. It gets sad. It's like, and it's really awesome, and it gives you like such a, I think at least like a feeling of accomplishment, but without doing sort of like avatar worship that like Fates is like known for. And it gives you so much freedom to like, build your characters however you want them to be built. Like, people like do fun builds where they take like characters that are bad at flying and make them like flyers, or people are bad at heavy armor and will make them like good at heavy armor. And it really nails this like theme of like connectivity and like loss and like war and like perspective. And it's a stunning game. It's a beautiful, beautiful score. It's my favorite score, actually. And that says a lot because I also like the Path of Radiance score a lot. But this one takes sort of that like classical music and then infuses it with like some dubstep and some more modern sort of like techno beats. And it works really well. It's a great game to get lost in. And it has so much replayability, like really, which I hadn't felt since Fire Emblem 7. Like, of like choosing different stories, and this one you get to choose different stories and see completely different things happen. And I love Three Houses. I cannot recommend it enough. It's definitely my favorite game that came out in 2019. So yeah.
I see your Fire Emblem Three Houses music, and I raise you Lion King Canigus. No, I'm just kidding. Whoa! Did we lose Eric?
Oh no, what's happening?
Whoa! I raised him Lion King Canigus, and he dropped out. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Let me get him back.
He dropped completely out of Skype.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know what happened.
He just noped out of here.
He did. He noped.
He was done. The video was taking too long.
Well, Oh, that was weird. Sorry about that. I like. Did...
I said I raised you Lion King Candigus, and you just gone.
Yep.
You're gone. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. It was like you've been signed out of Skype, but then it signed me right back in.
That was so weird.
Weird.
That's weird.
That was the power of Lion King Candigus telling you Three Houses music isn't better than Lion King Candigus. Honestly, it's so funny because it's got that like loud like. You know, it's like it actually almost sounds like it could be a Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Honestly, that specific song. But you're all curious. What's Chris's number one Fire Emblem game? Yeah. And I think it should be pretty obvious at this
Heroes.
point.
Yeah, Heroes.
Warriors. No.
Vanilla Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
I know what it is.
Echoes.
Yep. Yeah, I knew it. I was saying it's Echoes. Yeah.
I have not had a game like. Let me just say this: like what you just said about Fire Emblem Three Houses. The whole time you're talking about it, I'm just thinking Echoes. Like that's
great. Yeah.
It was like one of the few games on the 3DS that I picked up, and I was like, and I like started playing Fates and Awakening, and then I put this in the 3DS, and it did not leave my 3DS until I was done with the whole game like a week later. And I have not played a game that quickly in like ages. I love Fire Emblem Echoes. If it was like the 100 and however much I paid for the special edition of Fire Emblem Fates, I would have paid that for Echoes. If it was the same price as Radiant Dawn, Path of Radiance, I would have paid that for Echoes. Echoes is just super polished. The story is amazing. Even with some of the gameplay mechanics being weird with them dropping the weapons triangle and the dungeon crawling, which it was pretty good. I like the dungeon crawling, actually. Some people don't. I thought it was pretty good. But I really, really enjoyed this game. I thought the mechanics were so polished for coming from 1992 of all time frames. What they did to make this a modern Fire Emblem game is so impressive to me. I can't think of very many games that translated so well from the 90s to now. Even the Persona games did not translate as well from the 90s to now as this game did. Going from old school Fire Emblem to what this is, which is not iterative. It's like a complete retransformation, reimagining of how this game should have played in the 90s. And it made it epic. It's probably one of the most epic games I've ever played. And if you haven't played it, which it sounds like Eric hasn't played it either, but he's just watched the thing.
No,
I was so connected to this game. The one thing that stuck out to me is like, whoops, that really messed with the story. There's like one level right at the end where you can kind of break the mechanics of this game, and I did this because I wanted to do it. I thought it was funny. You can actually, with a couple of characters and some manipulation of moves. No cheating. You don't have to cheat to do this. You can do this with no cheating whatsoever. I managed to warp my main character, right next to the king on the castle, which finishes the level, and just knock that guy right off the castle.
Oh my gosh!
And I finished the game in one turn, essentially one turn.
Mangs did that a couple of times because you can abuse warp in Echoes a lot. Yeah.
But the story was so good, and it was one of the last games I could not put down. Right now, my current I can't put down game is Persona Q, which I never expected, but Echo is far and above my favorite Fire Emblem game, with an asterisk on Three Houses because I haven't finished it yet. Not to the extent that I'd be willing to actually rank it. So that one would probably be up there. I just don't know where it would fall yet. So that's me. Fire Emblem Echoes, number one. So do you guys want to throw out any, like, how about this? What's the worst Fire Emblem game?
Heroes.
Oh, Revelation. Worse than
Shadow Dragon?
Revelation.
You like that? You thought that was worse than Shadow Dragon?
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Revelation? Worse than Shadow Dragon? Yeah, because like Shadow Dragon has fun gameplay, and Revelations doesn't. Revelations is just so gimmicky. Well, Conquest had good gameplay. Like Birthright was like meh, and then like Revelations just like, hey, we heard you like shoveling snow for an hour, or like, hey, look at these like weird doors and the ice level where you like slid across the ice like Legend of Zelda, and it just ruined it was not fun.
Okay. Well, my least favorite one is probably the OG version of Gaiden, but that's a Japanese title, so I
No,
guess
that's fair. Those games are pretty clunky. I can accept that.
if I was gonna stick to just NTSC titles, it's a toss up between you're gonna hate this, Awakening and Sacred Stones.
It was the worst, really.
Mm-hmm. I like. It's got to be Awakening because Sacred Stones to me is a step above Awakening. I just feel like Awakening is so broken.
Well, okay, that's fair. You can break Awakening so easily.
Because like within 10 minutes, I had characters from other games, and I literally could not lose.
Yeah, it was like you could get also just pair up system.
Yeah, pair up system breaks it too.
Pair up Vantage, like Gale Force broken, like.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that makes it a bad game because I had fun and I would play like Awakening and Sacred Stones as like in between games, you know, where you just want like an easy game and you're just like, yeah, I could just like breeze through this and have fun.
Let me just put it this way.
I love Awakening and Sacred Stones.
I am far more likely to finish Fates than I am to finish Awakening my second playthrough.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's sad because I love Awakening. Yeah, that's sad. All right.
So what about you, Will? What do you think the worst Fire Emblem game is?
I don't know. I don't think I've played enough of them to actually have an honest opinion on this. I mean, there's the ones that everyone already knows about. So like, you know, the ones that people like to do let's plays of that are terrible. So that's why they're doing it, and everyone hates them. So I could just list off one of those, but I think I should reserve judgment because I haven't played enough for myself.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, of the ones I've played, I've enjoyed them. So.
Yeah, I should have just put like a big no crossing sign on this video and just put Awakening under it, and then just use that as clickbait, like the worst Fire Emblem game ever.
The worst Fire Emblem game. It's not. It's
destroyed the series.
But it's so hard because all of the Fire Emblem games are actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would argue like even Revelations is like, you know, it's a fun game and it's a fun concept if nothing else.
It's better than Shining Force.
I've never played Shining Force, so
I've tried it. And if I had to give an honorable mention to a series that's similar to Fire Emblem, because there's not that many. Actually, Lord of the Rings: The Third Age on the Game Boy Advance is basically Fire Emblem with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I would say as far as like games that are similar to Fire Emblem, I have two actually that come to mind. XCOM.
Oh yeah,
it's Fire Emblem with guns, and Final Fantasy Tactics is like pretty close to Fire Emblem.
And there's also Tactics Ogre.
Oh, Tactics Ogre, yeah, that's another one.
And Will knows about this one because I've shared it before. Jeanne d'Arc.
Jeanne d'Arc, okay, like Joan of Arc, yeah. Cool.
Yep. So, anyways,
all right,
that's all I got.
Yeah.
As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm Eric.
And we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.
Almost.